Hey guys, it's been over 3 weeks since I started using the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 and I've been absolutely loving my experience. It's such a fun and unique device that's honestly brought so much excitement to me as it's something completely out of the ordinary and also the first foldable phone I've ever owned. And because it's such an interesting device with so many unique quirks, I wanted to give some of my initial impressions switching to this foldable phone as my daily driver. Now, first off, the hardware feels awesome and finally doesn't feel like some sort of prototype, which is good considering it is the 4th generation of the Flip series. It's got a more modern squared-off design with its almost flat edges, silky smooth matte glass, and a hinge that's smaller than ever before. While a hinge still doesn't allow the phone to fold perfectly flat as it still has a gap, it does feel really refined with the perfect resistance to hold the top half of the phone at almost every angle. And also, it has like a satisfying snap every single time you close the phone. It's probably not that good for the phone, but I always find myself playing with the hinge because it's just so satisfying. I mean, just listen to this. Opening the phone has been a little annoying though, if I'm being honest, as it's really difficult to open with one hand since you have to do some kind of finger gymnastics to pry the hinge open, so I stick to opening with 2 hands. I've actually seen some people unfold the hinge slightly with their fingers and proceed to flick it open by force, which I am way too scared to do. Instead, the best way to open the phone is to use your body to grip the top half of the phone and unfold it. It looks weird, but it works. And as an unexpected side effect, I actually use the phone a lot less now because I'm just too lazy to unfold the phone, which is actually a good thing for productivity. Instead, using the tiny front display to check notifications is good enough already. I'll dive more deeply into what you can do with the cover display in my full review. As for the display on the inside, it's definitely more refined. The bezels are now a lot slimmer and fully symmetrical on all of its edges, which looks so much more modern. The crease also does look a little less pronounced, although you can still see it visibly when looking at the phone with an angle. While using the phone though, you can't see the crease at all unless you're in direct sunlight, and you'll quickly get used to feeling the crease in the middle. Definitely not a deal breaker at all. Also, compared to the first generation of the Flip, the screen doesn't feel like soft plastic, but harder, more like an actual glass screen, which definitely adds to the premium feeling. Unfortunately, something I was extremely let down on that I noticed right away was the haptics. Instead of the usually excellent haptics like on the S22, which feels tactile and crisp, the Z Flip 4 feels really springy and kinda reminds me of using a budget phone. There also seems to be like a little bit of rattle when the phone vibrates on a table for notifications, which doesn't sound or feel very pleasant. The display also does have quite a bit of color, or more like brightness shifting, which does look a little off-putting because I really like to scroll through articles while it's folded on a table. And by the way, the super long display is actually amazing for daily use so far because of that extra vertical screen real estate. Especially when making stuff like Instagram stories, nothing gets cut off around the margins and I actually have space to move text and objects around the story. As for the functionality when the screen is folded, there are literally no apps that can take advantage of it other than the Instagram app when you need to take a story, the Gallery app which gives you a touchpad to swipe between photos and videos, YouTube that lets you separate the video and the comments, and the actual camera app which I will talk about next. There is a setting in the phone to enable flex mode panel on the majority of apps, but it basically puts the app on the top half of the screen and gives you access to volume, brightness, notifications, screenshots, and a touchpad, none of which are very useful for daily usage. By the way, if you want to see my full review and day in life vlog with this phone, which will be awesome by the way, make sure you go hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. Every single sub helps me a lot. Anyways, moving on to the performance and battery life so far. This phone does use the brand new Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is supposed to be more powerful and battery efficient. In these short 3 weeks, I've honestly noticed like no difference compared to my S22, and the same problems actually persist. First of all, One UI was never known to be silky smooth, but I've definitely noticed the same occasional choppiness and stuttering while navigating through the UI. It's not bad by any means, but it's still noticeable, especially when compared to the Pixel UI or iOS. The problem definitely does get worse with overheating, which I have noticed happen just like my S22. When using the phone heavily with many apps at once, or when using the phone extensively, it does start to overheat, which makes the phone laggy and drains the battery faster. Not to mention, the charging speeds lower significantly when the phone is warm. I'll have to test and use the phone more extensively in the coming weeks to see what the problem is for the full review. The battery life hasn't exactly been great either, and it's actually very disappointing. It seems to be inconsistent between people, and for my example, I'm on a 4G network with a mix of Wi-Fi usage, I don't play games at all or use the camera heavily, there's no app in the battery chart that's draining my battery abnormally, and I'm only getting 2.5 to 4 hours of screen on time. It's been really frustrating to carry a power bank 24/7 for the entire year of the S22 and now the Z Flip 4. I know I'm only like 3 weeks into using the phone and people will say, oh, just wait for the adaptive battery to kick in, but I honestly don't see it improving much. I guess we'll see in a couple of weeks. And finally, the cameras, which is understandably a downgrade from the flagship S22 series. I haven't used the cameras that extensively yet, but I would say it's decent at best. On the back of the phone, you get 2 cameras, one wide and one ultra wide, both of which are 12 megapixel sensors. The processing is similar to your typical Samsung vibe with vibrant and punchy colors and contrast, which is great for posting to social media. HDR processing also works great at preventing highlights from being blown out or shadows from being crushed. The downside is that both of these sensors are quite soft and the images lacked quite a bit of detail, which is instantly noticeable if you zoom into your photo. There's also a little bit of shutter lag, which a lot of people dislike Samsung for obvious reasons. Video quality is also grainy and noisy, but at least the stabilization is excellent and it's really fun to hold the phone like a camcorder. But that's not the star of the show. It's the fact that you're able to use the cover screen for selfies while using the back cameras. The main selfie camera on the front by itself is not that great as it's soft and also pretty washed out, which is why you'll be using the rear cameras with the cover screen 99% of the time. Despite what I said about the rear cameras being just okay, using it as a selfie camera now makes it better than the majority of selfie cameras on the market. A quick double click of the power button launches the camera, in which you can switch between the wide and ultra wide for group selfies, use portrait mode for some blurred backgrounds, and even shoot a vlog, which is very convenient. And by the way, a horizontal viewfinder means the photo and video will be vertical, while rotating the phone so that the viewfinder is vertical means that the photo and videos will be horizontal, which is definitely important. There's also a gesture to take photos and videos by raising your hand and opening your palms, which activates a 1-second timer. It's really useful, but doesn't activate quite often, so I hope Samsung can improve it in the later software updates. And lastly, you can also set the phone on the table to take photos and videos without a tripod, which is actually extremely convenient and something I'll be using very often. It's great for filming vertical content for Instagram and TikTok. Unfortunately, it doesn't work to film horizontal content. And that's basically it for my quick 3-week impressions of this phone. Despite the negatives I said in the video, I actually think that the unique folding design and how fun it is to use the phone makes up for these downfalls, as I still really enjoy using the phone, especially with its versatile hinge and the cover screen. I'll be using it daily for another few weeks, in which then I will make my full review for this phone, which will be more about the experience rather than the specs. I'll also be filming a day in life vlog so you can actually see what it's like to use the phone on a day-to-day basis. And on that note, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button to stay tuned for the new exciting videos that are coming out on my channel. Have a great day and I'll see you guys in the next one.